made this little video as part of my Girl Scout Gold Award. It is to inform residents of the South Bay what happens to their trash, recyclables, and green waste. It has the hopes of inspiring South High students and the community to think more, consume less, and recycle more. The average person puts 50% of their waste in their trash bin, 35% in their recycle bin, and 50% in their green waste bin. Municipal solid waste, also known as trash or garbage, is what we throw away every day. Americans generate 250 million tons of MSW. The average American throws away 4.43 pounds of MSW every day. Imagine every person doing that. Of that 250 million tons, only 34.1% of that is recyclables. That mere 34.1% stopped 85.1 million tons of waste from being disposed of and prevented the release of about 186 million cubic tons of carbon dioxide, which is equal to taking away 36 million cars for a year. Americans are only 5% of the world's population, yet we produce 40% of the waste. 50% of your average person's waste can be recycled. It's really important that we recycle, because things like aluminum cans will last 500 years in a landfill. Glass bottles will last 1,000 years. Plastic bags will last 10 to 20 years. Tin cans will last 50 years. And plastic bottles and styrofoam last indefinitely in landfills. Recycling one aluminum can saves enough energy to run your TV set for an hour. Recycling 1 ton of aluminum cans saves enough energy to run an average home for 10 years. Recycling 1 ton of paper saves 17 trees, 7,000 gallons of water, and 3.3 cubic yards of landfill space. It also saves 4,100 kilowatts of energy, enough to heat your home for 6 months. When you turn in your recyclables, it's going to be put into something like this that puts them into bales. Like such. These bales will be sent overseas and to make things like clothes and toys. When you fill one of these puppies up, it's $35. And this is $35. Money! The advantages of recycling far outweigh the disadvantages. It takes a lot less energy and a lot less virgin materials. It's pretty cost effective if done right. Recycling adds jobs to the economy and promotes environmental friendly advancement. Just to be fair, there are some disadvantages to recycling. It can be difficult, and it still requires effort, commitment, time, and energy. And in the end, we'll always have trash, no matter what you do, so it's always better just to not consume in the first place. So what just happens to your normal trash? Your normal trash will come first to transfer stations like this. 10-ton trucks that go around and collect the trash off the curb of your neighborhood come to places like this, where they dump their load. The salvageable material is hand-picked away, and the rest is sent in 20-ton trucks to a landfill. It smells pretty gross. We were unable to get out of the car at the landfill, and I'm really sorry that the video is so shaky. To be fair, there are advantages to landfills. Methane gas captured can be used as energy. Modern-day landfills can be very high-tech, with measures taken to ensure safety and sanitary conditions for both the people and for nature. When landfills are full, they can be covered and the land can be used for parks and sometimes even buildings. And simply, landfills can hold a lot of trash and are very necessary. Some of the disadvantages of landfills is that they are very expensive, and hazardous waste that accidentally gets into the landfills can be very problematic. Also, tight conditions cause materials in the landfills to biodegrade at an extremely slow rate. In fact, there are old 40-year-old newspapers found in landfills that are still readable. And old landfills had almost no environmental regulations, which is causing a lot of problems today. Toxins can seep into and contaminate groundwater, which we drink, or they can also contaminate the soil. Harmful gases are released from landfills, and it's really expensive to have to capture all of them. You can see that here with all the methane pipes in the pretty landscaping of the covered up landfill. Exposed trash can attract pest and disease for the people working there and the people who live around the landfill. And buildings on old landfills have sinkage problems. Here we are on an old landfill. This landfill was in use from 1952 to 1980, and that 1980 year was before EPA regulations made it so landfills had to be sealed and lined. So there's a little bit of an issue there with the toxins, and old landfills, although they're just covered up and looks can be deceiving. Here they have to constantly monitor the air pollution emissions, the groundwater pollutions, which, by the way, if groundwater is polluted, it's extremely difficult to impossible to clean it up. And they also have to monitor erosion levels and the levels of the soil cover. All that can be really expensive. Composting is yet another way to get rid of your waste. Ever wondered where your green waste goes? Well, usually it goes to something like this. Giant places where they make compost. Composting conserves resources in landfill space while producing a natural, great fertilizer. Things like orange peels or banana peels will take a year or two in a landfill to decompose, but when they're being composted, they'll only take a few weeks. Look at all this compost!
That's about 2,500 Fahrenheit.
There are definitely some advantages to incineration. Energy can be created from burning the trash, just like we've seen a lot of energy being created here. It doesn't require a vast amount of land like a landfill does, and can helpfully reduce the sheer volume of trash. Incineration can burn biological threats, and like we've seen here, it can also burn narcotics. However, there are disadvantages to incineration. It can release harmful levels of dioxins and other pollutants. They do monitor a lot, and usually they'll fit the regulations, but there's still a little bit of pollutants being released. The ash from incineration still has to go into landfills, and it's concentrated waste, which can be a little bit more hazardous. The particles of the ash can be difficult to contain and control. Incineration is pretty expensive, and it's also known to burn some recyclables and some things that maybe shouldn't be put into a landfill in the first place. Now that you realize all the time, energy, and resources that goes into getting rid of your waste, hopefully you'll think about it before you use anything that will need to be put into a wastebasket. Reduce, reuse, recycle.